At last the sun has been shining and this crop has really come into its own. Last month while waiting, we showed you some of the secrets to our pigeon hide craft and how to make an irresistible landing spot for passing pigeons. You can watch that episode by using the card at the top of your screen or the link in the description. But back to the task at hand, and where we are setting up today is just below this tree that Stephen and I have been watching them sit in for the past few days while they strip large areas of our farmer's crop. However, just to the right of us, around 200 yards away, is a busy main road, so we'll have to make sure that we are not too keen with our left to right swing. Tall, standing crops like this make it tricky to set out the right decoy pattern, so we have opted for long bamboo poles and full body enforcer decoys to wobble around just above the top of the crop. In the large flattened areas they have already damaged, we are going to put out some shell decoys, and lastly, right on the top of the brow, Stephen has put out a Mark II enforcer flying pigeon to look like it's a pigeon coming into land. Let's take a quick look at my setup and gun and shell combo. Trying to keep the footprint as small as possible, but still have room for two of us. Stephen will sit on this side with the camera. This is my spot. Today we have the wonderful Benelli Montefeltro Comfort. Really like this semi-auto. Nicest one I've ever used. And we're on Game Board Pigeon Extreme. Heavy shell for pigeons, but when I'm shooting standing corn like this, it can be very hard to get pigeons in under 30 yards. So because I assessed this ground before we came, it looked like a lot of the birds were going to be at decent range. You can see out to that flat patch there is 50 yards, and the main flight line was along those wires, which is a good sort of 65-70 yards away. So it's going to be difficult to get the birds into a close range. So I said I'd shell up and go for the Pigeon Extreme. These things are absolutely awesome. You'd actually swear those crows knew we were here and knew the angles we couldn't shoot. They came straight up from the road within 20 yards of us, swung around the back of the tree and then flew out towards the house that's 300 yards away and just gave me no angle. But luckily, just as I was watching them, there was one that wheeled in front and I managed to take him, but should have been on for a double or a treble there really. But when you're shooting in these sort of areas, you need to be where the birds are, but you also need to be very aware of your surroundings and the angles you can and can't shoot. Well, that's not been a bad start. In just under an hour we've shot probably a dozen crows and 5 or 6 pigeons. Pigeons have been slow to come. When I've been watching this during the week, it was in the afternoon when I'd finished work and there was a lot of pigeons on it, and typically it can happen that pigeons only really start moving in the afternoon. So if they haven't really taken off by midday, I might stay a couple of hours longer, just see what we've got by then. But the wind has changed right around now, so Stephen's just gone out to move the floaters. And yeah, birds just didn't come back to this field as much. They've actually moved to a field across the main road, and there's no flat patches down there, but they've started going in probably on tram lines. So we'll stick it out. Hasn't been as hot as I'd hoped, but still getting some nice shooting. Got a couple of nice high pigeons and got a grey crow as well, so that's always a bonus. So this is a prime example of the damage pigeons and crows do. They get into a small area, usually on a tram line, and they start pulling all the standing crop down. and they'll just go around the edge, jump up, pull them down. You can see where pull them down, break them off usually, and then eat them. And if you've got 200 or 300 pigeons in an area like this, they can very quickly turn a flat patch like this into half an acre or more. And this is completely ruined now. It won't ripen properly and it'll never be harvested, so it's lost. So light breeze here, they just give a nice bit of movement. If you ever watch pigeons feeding in an area like this, they're never standing still, they're always moving around, jumping up and down, pulling corn down. Well, that's me finished for day one on the pigeons of this summer, and really enjoyable couple of hours. Shot just under 3 hours really, mostly crows for the first hour, and then when the breeze picked up and the crows moved off, pigeons started to come quite nicely. Great selection of shots, great variety. Had probably 25 pigeons, about the same in crows. 6 or 7 of those were grey crows, so they're always good to catch up with. But just all sorts of shots. When the wind picked up, birds got tricky. They were high and fast. There was all variety of shots and just fantastic sport. And we've managed to keep them away from here. Saw a big flight line open up heading south from here across the main road. So the birds have obviously moved on to that area. So we'll try catch up with them next week. But no, it's been a fantastic day's sport. We've still quite a bit of picking up left to do. As you can see, Toby's well tired already, so I'm just going to give him a break for 10 minutes, let him have a drink, let him catch his breath, and then continue picking up. And as I say, these pigeons, I'll get them home. I'll probably get them breasted today, and they'll be going straight in my freezer.